you're going to see probably a heavy priority on a mobile AD carry for Viper here, right? Jarvan's off the table. It means things like Jinx, freed up and available, and really easy just to take here.
I'm still very happy to see the Corki bans because, my goodness, Corki rockets do not need to exist right now, especially as an ADC player myself.
You know what I find absurd is when Corki fires a rocket and does a ton of damage and he's going like the AD build. And I'm like,
how does this
it just seems like an insane amount. And then like next game he'll go at the AP poke build and I'll just see the rockets and be like, this is not okay.
Well, luckily we won't have to deal with that for at least game number 1. Something TT will have to deal with is this Thresh with more than likely the Glacial Augment, and his tried and true duo at this point is Aphelios for EDG.
Yeah, and this is why I'm not the biggest fan of this Lee Sin first pick when Thresh is open, because Thresh does a really good job of sort of dealing with Lee Sin as a threat, right? If he tries to dash in, you can play him out. The Lanta makes it very difficult for him to ever find like a good flank to get a kick in, and obviously syncs really well with the Aphelios. They opt to go with the Nautilus. They were toying with the Leona, but I think, you know, Thresh is very effective at shutting down Leona, being able to play you out off your Zenith blade, so it makes sense to go in a bit of direction. People tend to favor the Nautilus into Thresh matchup, and also the ult is a good way to shut down Aphelios, right? Often if Aphelios is in range to hit something, you're in range to ult him, and they will just pick up the Jinx, which is, you know, no surprise to anyone who's been watching games on this matter.
Yeah, I'm still so flabbergasted by how good Jinx is, and even like into any matchup, it seems by some time in the game she will be strong. Lethal tempo rockets are going to be raining at your face. It is going to be the Zhao locked in for EDG, and I particularly love this pick for the composition they're going for.
Yeah, it's great for buying space and just like stalling out the Jinx, right? Jinx wants to get damage down, get resets, but Zhao can literally just remove her from being able to do anything for a good 5 seconds by being in her face with the ult up and available. Really works effectively. And I think EDG really happy with the first 2 picks in this situation. I think they are more than comfortable here. So we go on the second rotation. We do see mid laners being targeted with LeBlanc and Akali taken off the table. We could see EDG looking to ban any potential difficult top laners that might cause issue when they're blind picked. I assume they will take mid 4 pick and then go for counter pick for top. And Syndra is still open and available as an option. That's something that's kind of been left out of these bans so far.
So we had the Vex final ban for EDG, and it's the Fiora final ban for the side of TT. So I ain't trying to take a little bit of that comfort potentially away from XiaoXiang.
Yeah, and obviously one of the concerns is if you do take that Fiora last pick, it can be a massive problem that you don't necessarily have an answer to. They are going to go for the mid and the fourth pick. They're not going to go towards the Syndra, instead taking the Zoe, which works perfectly fine. Also helps deal with some long-range threats. And in return, TT going to take a combo that actually, if you're looking to shut down the Aphelios, if you're looking to find some momentum in teamfights for resets, Camille, Galio, very effective at doing so. There isn't a way to find a safety net out of that, right? Thresh does nothing when a Camille jumps on you, and then a Galio follows up with the ult. So I actually really like this pickup from TT, but EDG now going to take a top lane pick with all the freedom, all the information, and they are going to go for that Gwen, which has been a bit of a menace when it's been left open and available.
Yeah, and also pairing it up with the Zhao. Like, I think the double circles, right, is just ridiculous. And Scout gets his Zoe too? This composition of EDG is looking pretty stout, but I will say, as you were kind of talking about earlier, the TT composition has a very tried and true method of cracking open the shell that is EDG.
Yeah, I think the thing is, though, the way I see it is, if EDG managed to keep their backline safe, right, I think they just really went out in front of backs, because the Gwen and the Zhao can just make the Jinx irrelevant, right? Puff just won't be able to auto attack for such a long time if they just stand in front of him with, you know, their ways of blocking range damage. And as a result, it's kind of relying on getting onto these backline carriers, because if you're just doing nothing while Aphelios is shredding your front line, it's going to be a bad time. So we'll see how it plays out. I do also think that, you know, potentially if the Camille can get ahead in the matchup, can be a threat later in the game. But I really think EDG are pretty comfortable with the composition they have here. TT just have to find a way to make their tools work.
Yeah, it's going to rely a lot of proactivity from Frigid. You're kind of highlighting that, right? We talked a lot about the bot lane, but how do you get that bot lane ahead? It's coming from the jungle. You've got to have presence from these junglers towards the bot side if you really want them to succeed. And it's really, you know, main eyes on the bot lane duos, but Frigid is going to have a side eye, and so will Jiejie.
Yeah, and so I want to see them sort of setting up for the bot lane plays. I actually wouldn't mind an early invade coming out from TT. I think with a Nautilus, you're more than comfortable to do so. And if you get like an early flash, that can be like a catalyst to get you that momentum in the game and really make a big difference.
Well, here we go. You see the grand skybox in front of you. We've got Thunder Talk Gaming taking on the world champions in EDG.
It looks like to kick it off, we're getting nothing too crazy, just to start things. Both teams just playing it defensive, so not going to get my wish and get that level 1 invade. Can't have a look at the runes here. Nothing too crazy coming out. Everything kind of as you'd expect it. Both supports going for that glacial augment. I feel like honestly, glacial augment on engaged supports is pretty powerful. But Thresh, I feel like Thresh kind of, it's like a response, right? I feel like having glacial augment on Thresh just means when you're engaged on, you can then flay them away and like stop them from continuing to get in range, which is pretty powerful, especially in the Leona matchup. I think it's kind of like a way of combating it there. Like if Leona goes glacial augment, then when she then slays you, you're slowed, so she can catch up with you if you play her out of it. But if you have glacial augment as well, then it kind of neutralizes it. So yeah. I feel like it has that strength. I think that's going to be Meiko's main job, is just keep Viper safe throughout, and we'll see if he's able to do so.
I'm really interested at the press the attack tech for Viper on the Aphelios. I really want to see what kind of damage numbers are possible when that triple auto is hit finally. Yeah, you saw already in the lane, Meiko playing very aggressive, has to kind of keep that one up there. We do get an early gank from Frigid, burns the flash scout.
Yeah, and I mean, we have to see if this is worth it by how effectively they find an opportunity to turn gank, right?
It was a flash for flash,
yeah. So, you know, there's not really too much you can do with a level 2 Lee Sin and a level 1 Galio, but being able to summon it early does leave opportunity to make a turn gank. And if you do start to put pressure on Scout, that frees Captain up to potentially look for more frequent roams. But for now, XiaoXiang actually coming down. He's just going to place a ward, so they will spot out Frigid if he does move up into the river from there, but he's just going to continue clearing for the time being.
It will be the opposite side starts for both junglers, but Jiejie has cleared the entire top side of his jungle, which is not something you see all that much here recently. So definitely going for that full clear style in the Sin Zhao.
Yeah, we often see junglers skip the Krug, despite the fact that you need Krug to get level 4. They'll skip it, look for some opportunities to potentially find some productivity, maybe find a gank, maybe contest scuttles, and then they'll reset and either go to their Krug, go to the enemy's Krug, or sometimes just loop back in their jungle has been started. So looks like JJ's focus. I think it makes sense, right? If you've seen the Lee Sin waste time going for a gank, you know that you can just clear your entire jungle, and then you're going to get that level 4 first. So definitely offers an advantage in that regard. And when you're playing junglers like Zhao, like Lee Sin, levels can make such a massive difference when it comes to the skirmishes.
And can we also just talk for a bit about Jiejie? Like, the fact that this dude is such a monster, having won the World Championship, but still being a star among stars, it feels like. And really having that extra oomph to his name. And starting off the season pretty strongly as well.
Yeah, it's been solid so far from him. And like he is just going to be doing the full clear. He's managed to pick a scuttle. I think too much more than he could actually go for an invade on the bot side and try and steal away Frigid's Krugs, but in the end he opts not to.
No. So the ping's coming out from Frigid up towards the Krugs, but will reveal that they are no longer there. So Jiejie definitely winning out on that one.
Yeah, and we do see actually Frigid managing to hit level 4. I believe that's from the XP he grabbed from mid when he went for the gank, has allowed him to get there. So honestly, didn't actually miss out on too much from going for that gank. Just denied a little bit of farm from Captain. But already we're seeing like half of the flash cooldowns being used. So it'll be interesting to see if there is like a return gank opportunity, because that's the main thing I'm watching, right?
Yeah.
You've done that initial gank. When are you going to capitalize on it? When are you going to make that worth it?
And it's really been a story so far, at least, about the junglers kind of playing opposite to each other, right? We're getting the top side focus from Jiejie right now. We're getting a lane gank from Frigid as well. So a little bit of a different approach to this beginning of the game, but Frigid is just trying to play as sneakily as he can, as TP's utilized here by Scoutboard's bot side.
Okay. I'm not sure what to make.
There's gotta
that,
be
really.
a big brain answer there, all right? We're just gonna leave it at that.
Yeah, I thought maybe it's like they'd go for like a lantern gank, but maybe they just didn't see the opportunity. Maybe it was like setting up for a potential lantern gank, and then they're like, oh, there's nothing there, I'll just run mid instead. And in fairness, he didn't actually miss any farm, so really didn't make too much difference either way. You can see Frigid and Captain moving together. This mid jungle trying to establish some vision control, but yeah, I mean, it already feels like EDG have a very firm grip and a lot of information revealing where these two are.
And you're seeing pings from EDG. They literally know where everybody is at every time, it seems. You're seeing pings in darkness that you know, because we have the all-seeing eye, you see that the enemy team is right there. It's actually impressive, and this is what you can establish for yourself very early on. Now Scout for a bit of a tower dive with XiaoXiang on new.
Yeah, they're just eyeing up the opportunity, but again, it feels like Scout is setting up opportunities to go for plays, but then considering whether they're going to be effective and backing off that one. You know Captain has this level 6 ultimate available. New has the hectic ultimate and trapped inside the tower range, moved up but opted to make the decision, no, this isn't the optimal play, this would probably end up backfiring, and so just backs away. And in fairness, it shows a lot of restraint, because in a lot of the scenarios you've made the move up, you're like, oh, I might as well just go for it. But Scout not wanting to give any advantages to TT at this point.
Starting to get a little worried for the bot side here. Need a little bit of help down there for TT. Viper is getting a bit of a handle on the 2v2, at least in terms of farming. Getting rolled up to the hyper carries that are existing down there. Frigid going for yet another lane gank, but will be unsuccessful again unless the follow-up hook shot was not going to be enough.
Yeah, I was thinking the hextech ultimate would come up at some point there. I'm kind of confused as to why it didn't, right? They had Captain in position to move up. They had Frigid there and available. You know, I feel like when you landed the stun, when you landed the hook shot, that was kind of like the signal, right? You hit R, we kill him. But I guess maybe they just felt a little bit tentative, didn't have the information. If you do look in the river, there is a control ward there.
Oh no, Puff! He's taking so much damage. Gets out with a beautiful cleanse flash combo. That is not the trade you want to take early. And honestly, I'm starting to get a little antsy here. Aux, like, we're almost 8 minutes in. We haven't had a single kill. What is this?
Yeah, it's been pretty slow paced. It's been gradual advantages though. If you look at the bot lane, Viper significantly ahead in terms of farm. It's kind of naturally accrued, and I think one of the things is when the enemy team has a Galio, it becomes very difficult to be proactive and make plays. Oh,
there you go, being a little proactive, stopping Meiko from taking the control war, and they get their own.
That's a win, right? That's an absolute win. The most action we've seen so far.
I know, right? It's so sad. Frigid not gonna take the Sonic wave there either, so the thing for me that stands out when you're looking at so far the 8.5 minutes that we've had is like there have been setups for plays, right? It's just the trigger pull hasn't been there. A little bit of fear or anxiety is there, right? To really all in on those plays, which I think is turning over a new leaf a little bit.
I feel like it's an element of respect, right? I think EDG feel confident to sort of go later in this game, and they're not sort of setting things up to make mistakes, right? You know, the enemy team's got a Galio, you know, they have champions which can snowball well, so they're not willing to like over push things, over force when unnecessary, and they're just naturally accruing lanes. Oh,
Scout forced the flash in the mid lane. Almost got CC'd to death there. Wait, we got a continued fight though. Jiejie goes in with the Crescent Guard, blocking a lot of damage. Meiko with the play, but on the other side, the fight's still continuing in the Rip Pit. Now we have the first blood to Scout. Is he going to die to Puff's rockets? No, he won't, but the needlework gets Puff. Traded back for nothing. All they get is the Rift Herald, and they lose 3 kills to EDG.
And it's just split focus from TT, right? They had 2 of them on the Herald, the others were looking for a fight, and it ends up being EDG. Not only do they win the fight with only 4 members, but Viper has basically taken this turret solo. He's gonna have so much gold. It's just like a humongous win. Even though they lost the Herald, EDG are nearly 4,000 gold ahead.
It's insanity, and the fact that you do leave this insane carry of a player in Viper to get all of that gold, to be 40 CS up, to get full 5 plays under 10 minutes. That's insanity.
Yeah, absolutely. So, I mean, it's just a bit messy, right? Puff, and I think it just feels like he's safe because he has a team here. There's 3 members moving up, and on the other side, we have disruption being done by XiaoXiang, because the Camille's not even here, right? The Camille Lee Sin focus on the Herald, but it's such a split fight. It's like we don't have the main engages there. Ideally, if TT are going to fight, you want to have Camille jumping in, Lee Sin jumping in, you want the follow-up there, you want Puff getting resets. It just didn't start off well for them, and I think that's why EDG was so quick to pull the trigger and find that window.
I just feel like it's EDG with like a tiger skin hiding in the grass right now, waiting to pounce. They don't want to overextend. They're not showing themselves anywhere, but if TT show themselves, you better bet they're jumping in there to maul them. And it's been consistent so far, at least, that it's still such a slower paced game, but it feels like EDG are right where they want to be. They have the TT exactly where they need to be.
They played it comfortably, and they've naturally accrued leads, right? Jiejie is pulled pretty far ahead in terms of jungle CS, simply because he's just went for the full clear. He hasn't pushed too far forwards. He's picked up
Viper's
resources
almost
when he can.
2,000 gold over Puff.
Yeah, I mean, it's just insane.
XiaoXiang in some trouble here, though, has the trio on top of him. They get 4 for TT, 5 for TT up top lane, and they get their first kill of the game.
Which is nice. It's good to see, but you bring in 5 members for that kill, right? You need to get more off the back of this. You need to be taking this tower. They do have the Herald available, so they should be able to make a push. Now, it looks like EDG are slowly rotating over, but they should be able to take this tier 1 at minimum.
Viper's still just taking turret plates because we're not even close to 14 minutes yet. More gold in the hyper carry's pocket. Top tower does not fall for TT.
That's a bit rough, right? You kind of bare minimum you wanted to be able to get the tower there, and the fact that they don't, pretty substantial, honestly. They do close the gold gap to a degree, but this whole time, right, you have, as you said, it's a 1,700 gold lead between the 80 carries now. There's a 1k gold lead mid, 600 between the top laners. It just feels like EDG are pulling ahead, and it's going to become really difficult to deal with them after a point.
We did also have our first dragon taken a little bit ago, as a little bit later for the dragon stack, but the EDG were able to secure that one for themselves. So continuing their late game scaling strategy here so far.
And it's just being really, really calculated, I feel like, at this point. Other than that mistake from XiaoXiang just getting caught out top lane, it feels like for the most part, this team has played things a bit risk averse, and that's kind of the difference, right? It was the thing I was talking about before the series, where the better teams are the ones who get a lead and don't make the mistakes and throw it away. And what we've kind of seen so far this split is that the teams who sort of are struggling a bit, they tend to be able to get early leads, right? But then they'll make a mistake, and with objective bounties, with all the scaling picks in the game, it'll just throw things back to the other side. And EDG are being very, very sort of calculated, methodical to ensure that doesn't happen.
Yeah, absolutely. Also, try to give XiaoXiang as much of love as he can in his game here, as the Gwen. Not going too bad for them, as we do have the lane swaps coming through for EDG to try and get Viper even more plates.
I mean, he's gonna have so much gold.
Like, at this point, he's gotten 6, 7, 8, almost 9 plates on his own. Like, that's insane. Not on his own. I mean, he had some to make those. The point still stands. Like,
he got the first tower as well, right? He got the first, the golden break.
insane.
So he is so insanely fed, and with the turret and the brush actually doing a lot of damage to top right now. Frigid kind of needs to be here to help, but Jiejie is looking for him, and they can honestly just push here. I don't think TT can defend this. They have actually brought Captain. That might be enough, but even so, Puff nearly dies.
He almost dies. Captain almost has a heroic entrance available, but it's not there just yet. Another turret plate goes over to Viper.
Well, I have some good news, right? Viper can't get any, well, good news for TT. Viper cannot get any more turret plates at this point, so at least they don't have to worry about that anymore. 30 CS lead. He's got a bounty just on gold, right? He is incredibly fed. 2,100 gold up now, and I feel like he's gonna have his second item completed pretty soon.
Open so, as we do get the replay of the shenanigans at top lane. Puff just getting obliterated from 2 sides. As Viper knows when to put on the aggression. The Gale Force, oh my goodness. Ooh, that was so close.
Very, very close. And I think it was a nice little trick putting the turret in the brush. Oh, I think gonna be a fun time.
Oh my goodness, that's one paddle star. SouthWind almost takes his entire health bar.
I love Zoe.
Do you? Is that a statement I just heard from you live on Broadcast Talks?
Maybe a little bit of sarcasm, I'll be honest, right? Maybe a little bit.
I didn't hear any sarcasm in there. I think it was 100% true statement. I think we should judge you harshly.
I do not miss the meta when she was just permanently picked, just disturbing amount of damage. You see them looking towards the tower, but honestly, it feels like, you know, with 50 minutes of the game, there's a 4K gold lead. It already feels like TT are really going to struggle to find any headway in this game. And actually, getting a TP coming out mid.
Viper getting in some trouble, but Nuke can't commit to the rest of the fight. Meiko very, very low. There's a sleepy trouble bubble into the middle of it. XiaoXiang going in. Gets one kill as well. There's the Moonlight Vigil onto the backline too. It's a double kill for XiaoXiang, and they're making him look great. There's Scout as well, picking up his own.
We see TT look for an opportunity. They get onto Viper and get him pretty low, but you don't kill him, and that's the critical thing. EDG able to turn it around extremely swiftly, and they are unrelenting. 3 quick kills at the back of that. They don't lose a single person, and now they're looking to take down this mid-tier 1. They're just continuing their lead. Oh, Herald just slides in there.
Yeah. The lead continues to balloon, now about 7,000 gold, under 20 minutes for EDG as they secure their second dragon of the game.
You know, I'm going to say it. TT are going to be the 2022 world champions. They've got a lot of work to do from here.
Are you regretting your statements already? I'm trying to pull it back.
I'm tentative, we'll say that much, okay? Yeah, we can see they managed to use the combo onto Viper, right? But actually, great play for Meiko to interrupt the hero's entrance coming out from the Galio, because that wasn't there. It meant Viper was actually able to survive, and then they looked to turn it around, and you see they just move forward as a unit, chase them down. Great sleepy trouble bubble coming out from Scout. Just had enough mana to finish it off, but really excellent play. And again, credit to Meiko on this one, because even though he wasn't in close range to Viper, still doing his best to keep him alive.
And honestly, the confidence from XiaoXiang was intense. I love it. You walk right up into a 5-man fight full on and get a couple kills for yourself and supported by the rest of the team. So the entire EDG roster, again, just firing on all cylinders.
Yeah, and again, you know, we said that coming out of the draft, like, I favored EDG's comp, but TT, they had this strategy going for them, which was the Camille Galio, and it tends to be seen as a very low counterplay combo, right? Unless you have like stopwatch or Sonya's available, there's not much you can do to get out of that. But it's been EDG not giving them easy angles in, and whenever TT have looked for it, it just hasn't really come to fruition. And now, it's like they're trying to contest this red side jungle here. Meiko and Jiejie moving together to clear some vision, and TT, they're just permanently on the back foot. They're kind of just waiting to see what EDG do and seeing if they can answer.
And literally, Scout, all he has to do is land one sleepy trouble bubble on somebody, on a non-expected person, right? Like, they are just fishing for kills because they know they can play with this confidence. Scout's just trying to land these paddle stars as the towers fall.
Yep, and it just makes it so scary. They have to back away. They have to give respect. They're so far behind. Almost 8,000 out. It's hard to see how TT would win a fight from this position, if I'm being honest. We do actually have a med knight coming in from Scout. Still pretty low on the stack,
BM book. Oh,
TP
TP on the
flank.
set. This is it. This is the play TT want to have. As New goes over the wall with the hook shot, the box comes out. The combo's there with Galio, heroic entrance. But do they have the damage to really do this? The health bars for EDG are dropping here, and this is where Puff is shining. Look at Puff on the back line. He's getting excited, but the front line is now gone for TT, and Puff dies.
It was a good attempt. It was a good attempt from TT, and they managed to take down Viper. They even get XiaoXiang as well, but it's just not enough. And you know what this is? This is a perfect example of a fight that they would have won if there wasn't an AK gold deficit, right? They managed to get the engage. That's how effective it is. There really wasn't anything you could do in that situation for Viper. He can't flash out of the Hextech ultimatum. He's trapped in there. But again, even though get the kill, it just took a bit too long for everyone to go down. You see Puff get the reset, but he's still not doing that much damage at this point of the game. And it just felt like it gave EDG time to turn things around. That was kind of like best case scenario for TT, and they still unfortunately ended up losing the fight.
EDG come out even more on top. We'll see the nitty gritty of that play. TT calling the TP behind on the flank.
Yeah, so you can see new managers get in range, ult, and then Viper, there's just nothing you can do. But think how long he survives here. So we have the ult coming down for the Galio, we have the ult from the Nautilus, and then he does go down them, but they burnt so many ultimates on him, and even then, XiaoXiang, he's healing so much, and this sleepy trouble bubble comes in to interrupt Puff, and it's just like, it's just taking too long. There just isn't quite enough damage from TT, because I feel like if the game was closer, that would have been a straight up teamfight win for TT. They would have swept that one.
And unfortunately now the snowball has gotten so big that it's just uncontrollable. You're getting 2-3 items completed for EDG. You're still working on pieces of second items for TT, and it's just getting darker and darker as you walk down the tunnel of this first game. But you've got to try to find the things that work, and it's a lot of that teamfight synergy that I like to see from TT that we saw a glimpse of there. Now EDG are just kind of going for the throat here.
Frigid.
He's leased in. Let's see his smoothest moves. Viper's like, nah, you're not getting out of this one.
He's going. He's
Scout's
dying.
gonna get that one.
You know what he just led them to?
Yeah,
The Baron.
The Baron.
Isn't that
No
convenient?
way.
Yeah, and if you actually look, Viper has bought the one singular item an AD carry can pick up to kind of just eliminate the threat of the Galio Camille, and that's a stopwatch, right? So if they go for that play again, if they try and aggress on this Baron, Viper pops stopwatch. They don't kill him. He turns it around. He's in close range to shut everyone. So really hard to see TT winning out a fight at this point, and it's just going to be a free Baron for EDG, putting themselves even further ahead in terms of gold. Now over 10,000 gold in the lead. They're going to pick up the third dragon. They have the Baron, but it kind of just feels like dotting the I's and crossing the T's at this point.
And Viper now also has red white, so there's no way that there's going to be a fight from TT for this dragon unless they just try and force it. But yeah, there's no hope. It will be soul point secured by EDG. You go one step closer to the Infernal Soul. TT want to make a play on it and have found Jiejie, but he has the Crescent Guard to block a lot of the damage. The Hextech Ultimatum comes in. EDG try to save his life, but cannot do so. And TT find their mark.
A good window, honestly, because a critical thing there was that the recalls were a little bit disjointed, and so we saw Viper ended up going back to base, and that's why EDG backed off there. They're like, right, we don't have Viper, we don't want to rush into this, because that's probably our biggest opportunity to throw the game, is going for a 4v5 without a Fed effect.
Yeah, what were you saying? I'll let you finish.
Yeah, that's why EDG didn't want to fight without Viper, right? That's why they were waiting for him to be there, because honestly, the rest of EDG don't need to be there. It just needs to be Viper from the looks of it. He just absolutely styled on Puff and SouthWind. Yeah, that's when you know this game's pretty over.
And oh no. They're just still in the base. I was going to try to find something, but EDG just don't want to let go. They want to finish this night quickly and get home to their new houses. Except for maybe XiaoXiang. But it's EDG continuously pressuring here, and it might be a little bit of an overextension, but Meiko says, nah, we going into fight, and Viper follows it with Scout. All they need is the 2 damage dealers, Aux, and apparently they're just going to get everything they came for. The in-hit goes down.
Yeah, I mean, they are just relentless at this point. And again, Scout, he's fishing. A lot of damage to SouthWind. They've got a wave coming in bot that's stacked up, and it's just going to be harassment from a distance. Scout is taking a fair bit of damage, but it's just not nearly enough. And now it's TT's last defense.
Yeah, you got ultis aplenty for EDG. Get one last engage, and immediately SouthWind is blown out of the water. XiaoXiang going forward as well. The bodies are still there for EDG. Meanwhile, TT might not be able to say the same. The first Nexus tower did fall. And we'll see this after this team fight, this AoE. Puff has the rockets going. He's got the lethal. Oh, nope, doesn't matter. Scout obliterates him. The last pieces will fall for TT, and the world champions of EDG will take game 1 of this best of 3.
Yeah, I think this is kind of the EDG we expected. It's the EDG we saw in their first series. They didn't give any room for TT. And honestly, I gotta say, credit to TT. They found that nice engage in the bot lane. They did manage to find that pick around the river, but it's kind of like they were just faced with EDG seemingly at full strength, not taking any chances, and just accruing such a massive gold lead. And I feel like you're looking towards game 2 and you're thinking, what can we do from here?
Yeah, it's a big question to ask, and I'm still unbelievably excited for this EDG roster. The fact that Flandre didn't even play in the first game of the series. XiaoXiang came in, fit like a glove, and popping off on the Gwen himself. Like, this team, the structure behind it, the coaching staff, it is looking for a second run, and it's a good start to the season. Long season here in the LPL, but it's a great start for them. And they've got to close out nicely. That's the conversation I want to have now against TT. We saw game 1. We saw what TT were bringing, but now it's turning over to EDG. How quickly can you close this best of 3 out? How dominant do you look?
That's the thing, right? We saw them against Jiejie. Game 1 went similarly to what we just saw, right? Absolute stomp. Game 2, however, was where they started to have, it was a little bit messier, right? They did still win, but there was definitely moments where Jiejie were in control. Yeah. And that's my question, right? Can we see a repeat performance from EDG here in Game 2 where they're just clean, crisp, and controlled? Because that's the thing, is that you have such weight on your name. You should be looking to be dominant in this one. And feels kind of rough for TT. I do think they came out of draft a little bit weaker than EDG. I like the fact that they went for the Camille Galio to have some sort of strategy to deal with Viper, and they did manage to execute it once in that game. But I mean, you look at that gold graph. Yeah. It doesn't take long into like the length of that gold graph. Bear in mind, it's only a 24-minute game. It's like you're like 40% through the game, and you kind of had like a significant gold lead you can't deal with. Bear in mind, the full thing is 14,000 was the final gold lead, and it was like a 4K gold lead, only 10 or so minutes, 12 minutes in. Very hard for them to really come back from that.
And that's where I do want to open that conversation, looking back towards this jungle matchup, right? And finding, yes, the first pick Lee Sin, interesting one in its own right, but a very powerful pick in itself right now. Didn't work out for Frigid. So how do you find something to unlock him to really help that bot lane? Like, we didn't have blood early on in that game. We didn't have a lot of bot lane focus until those skirmishes really started happening. But if Frigid can get down there a little earlier and do something to stop Viper from just passively gaining a lead, that's got to be the ticket.
Well, I think you have to get rid of the Thresh, right? Because it's such a massive problem. Because not only can it allow you to set up ganks really easily by landing in your jungler in, but also like it stops the engage from the team. Lee Sin struggles so heavily to go bot lane into a Thresh because it's going to flay you out of your Sonic Wave, especially when it's someone like Meiko who's so proficient with it. And I think you either need to pick the Thresh yourselves or you need to ban it away because it just shut down aggression, not just in the laning phase, but also later on.
It definitely did. Well, we'll see what TT's response is to get back in this best of 3, or if EDG will just take a clean 2-0 sweep. We'll be back after